Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, October 8th, 2020, and today we're taking a look at the 2020 national betting odds between Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. As it stands today, Joe Biden has officially hit the highest point throughout the entire campaign season in terms of betting odds. Now, we thought he hit a high back in July when he was up at roughly 61 cents a share, but now he's up to 65, and I think that is pretty substantial. So we're going to go through the electoral map based off the predicted market and then talk about why people are so confident in a Joe Biden victory. So here's the predicted map. It actually gives us the electoral votes by their numbers, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these closer races. Now, 90 cents and above is what I would consider to be safe at this point in time, and honestly, that covers a lot of the Biden states. Can't say the same for the Trump campaign. I mean, if we're looking at where Donald Trump gets up his 203 electoral votes, the 38 from Texas are considered likely. Montana isn't even considered safe by that standard. Georgia, Ohio, and Iowa, which combined make up almost 50 electoral votes, it is pretty substantial. So we'll go through with them and just take a look at where the map stands today. So in terms of states that are considered to be 90 cents or more for a share, I don't think that this is too surprising to too many people to see a lot of these states characterized as solid for the Democratic Party. Not New Hampshire. That is not solid, I guess. It's still likely, but it's not considered solid. Take a look at the state of New Mexico and Colorado. Now, these are all of the states that are going to the Democratic Party with a 90-cent share or higher, and all of the data concludes that this is the outcome in all of these states. Now, for Donald Trump, he does have some other states we can go ahead and take a look at. I don't think it's too surprising. Kansas has actually dropped below that point, but there's obviously a reason for that. That has to do with the fact that Kansas has been polled pretty frequently recently, and people are a little bit less confident in a potential Donald Trump victory in these battleground states. But taking a look at the remaining states, I don't think it's too surprising. So there are 94 electoral votes for states that Donald Trump has a safe chance at winning based off the predicted map. And, you know, this is indicative of where Donald Trump stands today. The reason why we see Kansas as a non-safe state and Montana and Alaska and South Carolina is because Donald Trump is doing very poorly. Now, if we move over into likely states, we're going to see the states such as Montana and Alaska and Texas and South Carolina move over into the likely column, and the state of Kansas. But all in all, I mean, I think it's important to note that Donald Trump's lead has dwindled in some of these states, which is exactly what we saw not only in safe Republican states, but in swing states. And that's the main purpose of this video. As we take a look at the likely Democratic states, these are areas where the Democratic Party has, I guess you could say, at this point, I'm just going to use the lean and likely, so 65 cents or higher in terms of a chance of victory there. That actually gives the Democratic Party Arizona. It gives them Pennsylvania. It gives them Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine. So we can characterize all of those states right now as likely Democratic states. And this is pretty substantial. I mean, this puts the Biden-Harris campaign at 283, and I haven't even characterized Nevada yet. 289. That's important to note. The Democratic Party is at a very good position. Not only are the numbers in terms of the polling averages saying Biden is going to win, but the market in which people spend sometimes thousands of dollars on shows that the Democratic Party will be the favorite to win the presidency is also pretty important. Because the thing about national betting odds is that they don't typically go with what the media is saying. I mean, yes, they do react to certain events. They react to Trump being diagnosed with COVID-19. They react to the first presidential debate. They react to the vice presidential debate. They react to COVID-19. But at the same time, you also have to realize that they aren't exactly as influenced as you might think. There is no liberal bias in betting odds. That generally, at least in 99% of cases, people will put aside their own beliefs. Regardless if they support Trump or support Joe Biden, they will go with the candidate that they think will win the election. They will go with the person that, sure, the data may indicate that they're winning, but if we take a look at April and May, despite Biden being up in all the battleground states he needed to be up by and the national average, people thought Donald Trump was going to win. But only up until now have they realized that, you know, maybe this won't be an upset election. Donald Trump sure did numbers in 2016. He flipped numerous Obama states, but does he have it in him to win this election? And that's the question that these people who are spending money on the presidential race are asking themselves. Yes, they may personally support Donald Trump, but they may support him and still expect him to lose. The fact that we see a number of investors saying, I expect Biden to win the election, 65 cents for a Democratic share in winning the presidency. On PredictIt, it goes up even higher to 68 cents for a Biden yes share. Why is that significant? Well, because the numbers have surely fluctuated. If we look at predicted, they actually have stayed roughly the same for a small period of time. They've only now recently expanded to the highest point in more than 3 months. We take a look at the RCP average, you can see that it narrowed up. This was right after the Republican convention. Had I shown you only this week, you would have thought that it was close. But if I gave you the map prior to then, you'd say Trump is doing significantly better than where he started off. But once I add in these new numbers, 26 days until the election, you will start to see that Biden is returning not only to his largest lead possible, but to the largest lead we've ever seen him hit. Ever. Throughout the entire campaign season. Take 2017 through October 2020, and he just broke it. This did not happen for Hillary Clinton. This did not happen for Barack Obama. We did not see Joe Biden recover in a way that, or not really recover, expand an already strong lead to a point where now 2 in 3 people that are spending their money on this race expect Biden to win. That doesn't reflect the national numbers. That does not reflect the national polling numbers that we see nationwide. Look at the polls. Biden's up 9.7%. There's a reason why these betting odds have shifted. Right here was the day after the first debate. Obviously, the polls aren't going to capture public sentiment immediately after the debate. But once new data started rolling in and Trump's COVID diagnosis hit, Biden went from 49% of the vote to 51.6% of the vote. Why is that significant? Well, it was combined with Donald Trump dropping down from 43% of the vote down to 41.9% of the vote. That's substantial. He dropped, Biden went up, and overall, the betting odds and the national average, of course, all show Biden with the largest lead that he's ever taken throughout the entirety of this campaign cycle. And when we see the predicted numbers and we take a look at these key battleground states where predicted is expecting Biden to do well, we have to take a look at some of these other closer races. Take a look at Iowa. Take a look at Ohio. Take a look at Georgia. While the Republican Party may be the favorite to win in all 3 based off predicted, the Democrats are the favorite in North Carolina. They're the favorite in Florida. And what does that do? Well, that puts Biden at 333. Don't even get me started on Nebraska's 2nd District. This is an area where the Democratic Party has done very well. Nebraska's 2nd District, 78 cents for a Democratic share. 78 cents. That's roughly the same amount it costs to solidify a yes in Texas for the GOP. Let's take a look at Maine. The 2nd Congressional District there, the Democrats are now the favorites. It wasn't always like that. Taking a look at the 90-day spread, it has gone back and forth. In fact, the Republicans were the favorite to win up until recently. So when we take a look at a lot of the data that we see come out of these key battleground states and districts, it does reflect what we see on the predicted market, but people are going to put aside their political differences. That is the beautiful thing about the election market. You can believe in one way, you could believe that in Medicare for All, you could believe in whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you're spending tens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars on a certain candidate. And there's no way you're wasting that on someone you know has no chance at winning or someone you know probably won't win the election. Because based off of all independent analysis, whether it's through a political forum or not, almost everyone concludes that Joe Biden is on track to win the presidency. Whether it's the 13 keys to the White House or it's just a media pundit, whoever it is, I don't really see any notable word notable is important, notable pundits saying Donald Trump is going to win this election. They say he can come close. They say the election can narrow up. But can it really? I want a lot of you guys to ask yourselves this question. Yes, do not get complacent. If you're supporting Joe Biden, Donald Trump has proven to the American people once that he can outperform polling numbers. But at the same time, I also want people to realize that Joe Biden is enjoying leads that Hillary Clinton never had. Never. And Joe Biden went from being underwater and tied with Donald Trump over the past year to now being ahead. At his largest point, less than a month away. 5 million votes have already been cast. That doesn't seem like a lot, but 5 million a day can sure add up. And when we take a look at the early voting numbers, when we take a look at the mail-in ballots, this is going to heavily favor the Democratic Party. Because if people are able, number one, most of the people that are voting by mail and voting early are likely Democrats or in support of Joe Biden. Number two, I think that with the American public submitting their ballots sometimes 2-3 weeks early before the election, that leaves 7 days of campaign time for Donald Trump to turn around those votes. Because once they're sent out, they're not coming back. They're not changing their vote. They're going out and they're being counted almost immediately on election night. So what we see is that the Biden campaign is going to enjoy this week. Because regardless of what happens. The second debate already seems to be canceled, possibly Joe Biden just taking up 90 minutes to speak directly to the American people, which of course is going to hurt Donald Trump even more. I really don't see a recovery path for Donald Trump because this election is not like 2016. In as many senses as possible, Joe Biden is not Hillary Clinton. The Democratic Party from 2016 is nowhere near as good as the Democratic Party in 2020 in terms of the way that they campaign, the numbers that they have, the candidates that they have fielded. And if we look at Donald Trump, he's not the 2016 candidate that we saw. And the timeline is drastically different. In 2016, the Republican Party had 5 extra days that made all the difference. Now, they've bunched up to November 3rd, probably the closest election day that we will see in the month of November in history. Now, if we're looking at November 3rd, and we're taking a look at what's been happening over this weekend, and what's been pushing into this week is Joe Biden's numbers are going up. Because of the fact we are going to see possibly 50 to 60 million voters vote by mail, that means these votes are going to get sent out 2-3 weeks early. They're going to get dropped off today. A number of voters dropped off their votes today. And if today is when Biden is up 10%, I can't imagine an independent voter who wants to vote by mail, who's afraid of the USPS clogging up, not voting early, not sending in that ballot 2-3 weeks ahead of time. In 2016, many people voted in person. 3/4 of the electorate voted in person. Only 1/4 submitted by mail. We're looking at roughly half voting by mail this time around. And the thing about Donald Trump's election was that he was able to turn it around through in-person rallies, through speaking directly with the people, through waiting through those final few days of the campaign season, putting his all into in-person campaigning. And yes, political ads can definitely still be run, but him denying a debate stage because he doesn't want to do it virtually is not a good move. I mean, yes, Trump lost the first debate and he lost support nationwide. Based off all credible polls about the debate, Trump lost it. Now, last night's VP debate was roughly matched. I think Kamala Harris did take the edge at the end of the day, but Mike Pence is a very eloquent speaker, and as Rick Santorum said, the best person to be put up by the Republican Party. And as Van Jost said, he was toe-to-toe with Kamala Harris. I think that really attests to her as a speaker, but also, I mean, that didn't really change much. Nobody cares about a vice presidential debate. Even if Mike Pence had blown it out of the park, I mean, hit it out of the park, that wouldn't have meant anything. And it didn't. Roughly everything remains unchanged following the first VP debate. And I really think that at the end of the day, it is on Donald Trump at this point to turn around the election. Because what he did in 2016 was take likely Democratic states, made them lean, made them toss up, and then made them Republican states. Well, guess what? He has a lot less time to do that and a lot less support from these states that only narrowly gave him a victory just 4 years ago. Wisconsin was 0.77, Michigan was 0.23, Pennsylvania was 0.72. So can you really argue that Donald Trump hasn't lost not even 1% of his base from 2016? Maybe if you do think that he's going to expand his margin, you're entitled to your opinion. The good thing about that is only one of us will be right by the end of November. We will know. We'll have certified results by November 30th, hopefully. And we will know who the next president of the United States is going to be. But looking at the map today, doesn't look good for Donald Trump whatsoever. The national odds where people put aside their differences and take a look at the data and take an objective view on the election, where 2 in 3 people say Biden is going to win, compared to just a month ago when at this point, literally last month, only 53% of these people would have said Biden is the favorite. It's crazy to see this seismic shift in favor of Joe Biden just weeks before the election. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter pages. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.